Alright, so only now, when we are at the very tail end of this entire rewatch, have I really started to, let it sink in that my favorite character out of this entire show is probably the armorer. Like, the armor is just, there's just an air of mystique about her that I want that explored so badly. I sincerely want it to be explored. I want her to have her own show and just like see how she became such a really intriguing person. But that is, just, my wish fulfillment for that, unfortunately. I don't know if that will ever become real. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel Strung from QuickTime Reactions, and you have found me on my way to The Mandalorian and Grogu, in which I am going to be reviewing all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian as well as Book of Boba Fett. And here today, we are here to talk about Season 3, Episode 4 of The Mandalorian, which is Chapter 20, The Foundling. This episode was directed by Grief Karga himself, Carlweathers, and it was written by Jonfavreau and Dave Filoni. The whole covert Mandalorian operation has been attacked. And in that attack, one of the foundlings has been taken away. So Mando, Bo, Paz, and a lot of other Mandalorians go and try and rescue the foundling. Meanwhile, the armorer takes Grogu to get him some new armaments. And while waiting for his new armaments, we get to see into Grogu's past and how he survived Order 66. So I really liked this episode. Again, it's roughly same amount of runtime, if not a little shorter than the first episode. But this episode just had a really simple story. And it was told, I think, very effectively. And plus, we get to see, how Grogu survived Order 66. And to me, this episode was all killer, no filler, in my opinion. So we start things out with the whole covert doing some training with like blasters, the vibro blades, darts, etc., etc. And Mando is basically telling Grogu, all right, like, you're old enough now, and, you've had a bit of training, but, now it's time for you to actually start, training like a Mandalorian. And so he takes him over, and he's actually going up against, let me get the kid's name really quickly. Ragnar, which is Wesley Kimmel's character that we saw at the very beginning of this season. And so they are given practice dart throwers that are basically wrist gauntlets that I believe we see Grogu actually have. Like, he has actual dart guns in the movie. So, a little bit of foreshadowing right there. And the judge basically says, first to 3 points wins. The gauntlets only have 3 practice darts in them. And so Ragnar gets the first 2 shots, and then after a little bit of pep talk from Mando, Grogu is able to basically jump back and forth, which discombobulates Ragnar enough for Grogu to basically hit all 3 of his shots on him, and Grogu wins. But in the distance, a really big winged creature comes and snatches Ragnar away and basically flies him back to the creature's nest. Mando, Paz, and a couple of other Mandalorians are able to follow, albeit briefly, because their jetpacks do run out of fuel. However, Bo was able to trail the creature in her ship and knows exactly where the nest is. So, like I said, Mando, Bo, Paz, and a couple of other Mandalorians basically form a scouting party to try and rescue the kid before he, eventually becomes bird food, essentially. Grogu is not allowed to go, but the armorer takes him inside of the covert to basically forge him a new it is essentially for, Grogu's size. It is basically a chest plate, but it has, we later find out it has the Mudhorn sigil on it. But as it is being made, much like what happened back in Season 1 when Mando was in the forge and the forge was making the new piece of armor, we flash back to Din's past. We now flash back to Grogu's past and how he survived Order 66. There are a group of 4 Jedi that were basically fending off clone troopers, and one of them says, you need to get the child to Kelleran, and they're able to get him onto an elevator, which then takes him to a Jedi by the name of Kelleran Beck. Now, Kelleran Beck has shown up in other Star Wars property. I think he was in a TV show that was actually made for kids, if I'm not mistaken, and I think also in other kids' literature as well. But what is interesting is the actor that plays Kelleran Beck, and that actor is Ahmed Best. Now, if you do not know that name, that is because they kind of diminished his role in the prequel movies, because he was the man that provided at least the physical performance of Jar Jar Binks. So I love the fact that he goes from, his character in the prequel movies being absolutely ridiculed to now here he gets a really cool moment and he gets his flowers from all of the Star Wars fans. And so Kelleran Beck is able to fend off more clone troopers. And I also do like the fact that the clone troopers are voiced by Tamara Morrison, because if you remember, Tamara Morrison played all of the clone troopers in the prequel movies, which, of course, the clone troopers came from Jango Fett, in which Tamara Morrison played Jango Fett. So I do like that bit of continuity there as well. So Beck is able to escape with Grogu. He's able to outrun a couple of clone troopers in an aerial fight, and then get to a ship, and then get the kid to safety. And then, of course, the armorer puts on the what is ostensibly the chest plate. Meanwhile, at the search party, they're able to make it to the base of a big rock spire. And Bo basically says, look, we're not going to be able to use our jetpacks because that would alert the creature that we're coming. so we're going to have to climb this in order to be able to get to the nest. And so they make camp for the night, and one Mando is handing out food. And Bo asks Din, how are we supposed to eat if we're not supposed to take off our helmets? And Mando says, well, once you get your food, you go to a place where no one will see you, and you take off your helmet and you eat. And I do like the respect that Paz gives Bo here, where he says, you're the leader of this hunting party. You have the benefit of sitting by the fire. And so after their little camp out, they start their climb up to the nest. Paz, of course, is a bit more gung-ho because Ragnar is his son. But what they do not know is that the bird creature is a mama, and she has 3 babies in that nest, hence why the mama got Ragnar, because he's basically food, glorious food. But they are able to distract the mama creature enough for her to take flight, and then what happens after is actually a really solidly shot aerial chase with the Mandos and the winged creature. And I have to give major props to Carl Weathers for this, because he did a really good job of shooting this particular scene. Like, they're shooting nets at it to try and get its attention, or try and get one of its wings trapped. Eventually, though, Bo is able to get onto the side of it. She does get shucked off, and pieces of her armor actually fall off, but that caused enough of a distraction for some Mandos to clip one of its wings, and they're able to rescue Ragnar and reunite him with Paz. And so they're able to bring him back to the covert, as well as those 3 baby birds, to train them in the ways of Mandalore. The armorer notices that, Bo sustained some damage and that she may be in need of some repairs. And the armorer says, should I put the night owl signet on this pauldron? And Bo's like, well, what if one pauldron had my night owl sigil and the other one had a mythosaur? Would that be acceptable? And the armor's like, yeah, of course that's acceptable. The mythosaur is used by all Mandalorians. And Bo's trying to explain to the armorer that, she saw a mythosaur. And the armorer says, it's a very lucky thing to do. People who walk the way, end up seeing a lot of things. And of course, speaking very, very high about it. But Bo's trying to be like, no, I actually did see something. And the armorer is not either she is registering it, but is trying to keep cool, or is just not registering it. But Bo does get a new pauldron, and that is where this episode ends off. Like I said, it's a really short episode, but the way that it is executed, and with all the really cool bits of information that we got about Grogu, like I said, I think this episode is all killer, no filler, in my opinion. So I really enjoyed this episode. And with that, we are halfway through this season. Only 4 more episodes left to cover. And then we are all caught up for the movie. But until next time, guys, be safe out there and always try and look out for a traveling partner on your journey, because you never know. They might end up putting you on a new path, a new way, shall we say, of looking at things. I will catch you guys next time.